The 5 types of stealth game gadgets. School of Stealth Part 2.
Stealth game heroes always have the best gadgets. From Agent 47's piano wire to Sam Fisher's goofy goggles.
Bro, they are not goofy, alright? When I was a little kid, and now, they are still cool, alright? They were cool then, they were cool now. You wanna know what's goofy? Is that little ball of fucking yarn, you know, that Hitman was using, alright? That was goofy.
To Emily Coldwin's fistful of superpowers. These sneaky boys and girls are
The box. I always forget Metal Gear Solid is a stealth game too. And they got the box.
often defined by their iconic inventory items. Because the truth is, stealth games aren't just about waiting for guards to move out of the way before you sneak past. Instead, they're about using gadgets, superpowers, and abilities to tip the situation to your advantage. So welcome back to the School of Stealth, a mini-series about the design of sneaky games. For episode 2, we're now deep behind enemy lines and ready to move on. So it's time to reach into our utility belt.
And why wouldn't you have Batman as like the forerunner for this video? He has got gadgets on gadgets. His gadgets have gadgets, all right?
And pick out the 5 types of stealth game gadget. So, like I said, most stealth mechanics can be bundled into 5 key categories. Category 1 covers gadgets that let you gather information. Anything that lets you see beyond the limited viewpoint.
Oh my god, I forgot the Splinter Cell had like the little drone or whatever. And this was years ago before drones were like really popular. I mean, they were like just starting to like take off or whatever. And it's like the drone was silent and you could turn on like this heat signature mode or whatever, like thermal vision. It was so cool.
Point of your character. So while a shut door would usually restrict your knowledge of what's behind it, Sam Fisher can slip an optic fiber camera underneath.
Oh, the optic fiber camera. Oh my god. This thing was so freaking cool. Cause like, yeah, you had like, did you have a mini map? I don't remember. I don't think you did have a mini map. So like anytime you wanted to like enter a new room, you essentially just had to always check it with the little fiber optic cam or whatever.
And spy on the room ahead. There's also the motion tracker in Alien Isolation, peeking through keyholes in Invisible Ink, leaning around cover in Dishonored, and night vision goggles that highlight enemies in the dark. You could even
Bro, that's literally like a flashbang. Like
count Snake's interrogation skills, which force enemies to give up intel on guard patrols and ammo caches. These gadgets give you an informational advantage over the enemy, and as Gunpoint creator Tom Francis says, when you know more about the enemy than they know about you, you can factor them into your thinking, and that information is the raw material plans are made of.
Nice.
These gadgets also dictate the pace of the game. The rhythm of a stealth game is defined by a moment of carefully observing the next room and then moving through it. It's a constant, repeating loop of observation.
Yeah, it was use the gadgets and then do the stuff. Use the gadgets, do the stuff.
And execution. Category 2 covers gadgets that let you manipulate enemies. On the previous episode, I talked about how stealth game guards can see and hear the player by using simulated eyes and ears. These gadgets let us use those sensory systems to our advantage. So, the Playboy magazine, the decoy, and the dropped weapon can pique a guard's visual interest. The sonic batarang, the speaker on the sticky camera.
Oh my god, I remember that thing. The little, the noise maker thing. Like you shoot a sticky cam, and then you could like make a little noise, and then it would like prompt guards to like walk over to it. And then once they were like looking at it or whatever, you could just gas them. Or whatever. So it was like a ranged knockout, but I think it was like non-lethal or whatever. But then if you did it too much, then they would just shoot the camera out and then go on to like high alert or whatever.
And the trusty old rock, meanwhile, can trigger a guard's hearing response.
Yeah.
Sometimes the distracting element is actually found within the world itself, like overflowing a sink in Hitman. All of these.
Bro, That's so weird. Like if someone is turning a sink on and like they just walk out of a bathroom, would you go and turn it off in real life? Maybe if it was your house or your job, I don't know.
Allow us to move AI characters off of their patrol path and into a position that works for us. For some, that might have you open a tiny window in the guard's patrol so you can slip past unnoticed. For others, it's about luring enemies into traps or guiding them into the dark for an easy takedown. You can also go further and use gadgets to change the guard's behavior. In Mark of the Ninja, the terror dart causes an enemy to become panicked and paranoid, and you can use this to make them accidentally kill their own teammates. Category 3 covers gadgets that let you redefine space. And to make sense of them, we need to take a moment to consider how stealth game levels are designed. Thief's project lead Greg LaPiccolo talks about space being the commodity that you are trading in, and points out how a stealth game level is split between areas of safety and danger. In Thief, that idea operates on two axes, light and shadow on one axis, and loud and quiet on the other.
Right.
Other games might have a different split, like high and low in Batman or public and private in Hitman, but the idea is the same. A stealth game level is like a sea of danger, and you've got to swim between the islands of safety. However, these gadgets let you manipulate this setup. So in Thief, the water arrows can douse candles, turning a brightly lit area of danger into a dark corner of safety. On the other axis, the moss arrows can create grassy rugs that you can stand on without making noise, changing that zone from loud to quiet. Another twist on this is letting you change your character so that you can exist in a dangerous space, but with relative safety.
The camo from Metal Gear Solid. Oh, this was so cool.
Like using the camouflage system to blend in with the surroundings in Metal Gear Solid 3, or using disguises to upgrade Agent 47's credentials in the Hitman series. These gadgets let you see levels as not just a static puzzle to solve, but an opportunity to change things so they put you at an advantage. Category 4 covers gadgets that let you alter your movement. Typically, these are mechanics that let you reach spots that guards can't get.
Oh my god, is that Tenchu? Wrath of something or whatever? Like Wrath of the Demon? I remember this game. Maybe not this version, because this is like what, PS2 or something? But I remember first discovering like Tenchu, or was it Wrath of Z? Tenchu Wrath of Z or something like that. And that was like one of the, like around Splinter Cell era. I picked up Tenchu, and I literally just thought it was like Ninja Splinter Cell. Like you had the little grappling hook, you had like your main hand weapon, you had like all these little items that you could use, like little ninja stars and shit like that, and like you're just like running around trying to post up somewhere to figure out like where the enemy path was, and then you could either jump on them or sneak up behind them or whatever and out them like that, or just like in Splinter Cell, you could just show up right in front of them and like just fight them right there. But I remember this game was like, there was a point, did I beat this game? I don't remember.
Get to. So there's Batman's grapnel, which lets you shoot up to the gargoyles that are high above the room. Sam Fisher's split jump, which in certain corridors.
Split jump, actually fucking goated. Best move. All right. There's nothing more like disrespectful than just getting like double-handed, because that's what he's gonna do. Like the dude's gonna walk under him and he's just gonna like double hand him right in the dome. All right, like Batman, yeah, you could like shoot your little thing and go upside down and do that, but like this is athleticism. All right, that's what this is right here. This is peak athleticism.
Lets you stand above enemies without being seen. And there's Dishonored's wonderful short-range teleport move, Blink.
The teleport blink or whatever. This was so good. There was a video on YouTube or whatever that like came out a couple years ago, and it was like some dude speed running like a level from Dishonored. It looked absolutely crazy. it was like the coolest thing. I had no idea that Dishonored could like be like that speedy or whatever. Like once you got like really good, oh my god.
Which lets you clamber up to higher places and also dart between areas of cover. We don't see these audacious moves in every stealth game though. Mostly, these games concentrate on stances like standing up, crouching down, and laying prone, all of which confer different levels of visibility, noise, and speed of movement. Finally, Category 5 covers gadgets that let you incapacitate enemies. Where would stealth games be without the blackjack, the trip mine, or the trusty and admittedly unrealistic silenced pistol? The stealth game fantasy doesn't
Yeah, in real life, a silenced pistol isn't really that silent. It just like barely, it takes like the highs out. You still can hear a silenced pistol from like really far away. It's just, it's not as peaky.
Include taking out guards as long as you cover up the evidence. Importantly though, stealth games don't often give you machine guns and rocket launchers, because if you think about these 5 types of gadget, they're about letting you find an advantage over the enemy in practically every axis except sheer brute force. You know more, you can move more freely, and you can manipulate guards into doing what you want, all of which puts you in total control until you get into a straight up firefight. But more on that in a future episode.
Dead.
The other thing that these gadgets all have in common though is that they must be balanced. Without careful consideration for how these mechanics should be limited or countered, they can cause all sorts of problems in the design. So, unrestricted use of gadgets that let you manipulate enemies and space can lead to dominant strategies, which are simple and incredibly effective tactics that you can use again and again in place of more interesting solutions.
Goated.
Things like using an endless supply of rocks to slip past brain-dead enemies or dousing every torch you see. Gadgets that confer too much information can break the flow of the game. So in Assassin's Creed Origins, you can fly your eagle buddy over a base like a feathered drone and tag every enemy you see. This then gives you complete knowledge of where that enemy is for as long as they're alive. This breaks that wonderful stealth game rhythm, essentially flattening it out into a single effortless observation stage, followed by an unimpeded and relatively low stakes execution phase.
True.
And using
Yeah, that's what happened with a lot of the Assassin's Creeds in later generations. Like I would say after Black Flag, and maybe even further, because like I remember playing, what was the one after Black Flag where it was like, or was there one before Black Flag? One before Black Flag was like 3. That was the final one with Ezio Auditore, and then the one after Black Flag was like that American one with like that Indian dude or whatever. And then I think that was it. That might have been the last one that I played. But I always found myself going back to Black Flag because it was just awesome.
Powered weapons to kill or permanently incapacitate every guard you see can actually reduce the complexity of the situation. Game design professor Robert Yang says that killing foes in stealth games depopulates a level, severs connections between systems, and makes the game boring. If you've ever had to exfiltrate a Dishonored level by simply walking past all the corpses you made earlier, you'll get what he means.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's also that problem of X-ray vision modes being so helpful that you never want to turn them off, making the entire game look like it's being played on an airport security monitor. So how can we balance...
How you gonna diss Batman like that, dude? How you gonna do that? It's understandable. I played a lot of the game like that too.
The power of these gadgets. One way is to give systems inherent limitations. Look at Ghost Recon Wildlands, which has a very similar system to the Eagle in Assassin's Creed, but the bird is replaced with a UAV that has a limited battery, a short range, and can be shot down by observant enemies.
Ooh.
It lets you gather information, but it's not omnipotent. Likewise, The Last of Us does let you see enemies through walls, but only when the enemy is making noise. And Deus Ex lets you tag enemies, but there's a limit to how many you can track simultaneously. Another way is to make your power temporary. Sam Fisher can overflow fuses to turn off lights, but they will soon flicker back on.
That was... Splinter Cell was making moves. Even back in the day, You know, like you could have easily just shot that thing out with like your silenced pistol, but then it would have made a little bit of noise or whatever. Because like when you shoot your silenced pistol, it's not like completely silent on the sound meter. Like there is a little bit of noise, and there was a dude like right there or whatever. So if he shot it, that dude might have heard him, you know, versus like he just like did the little mini EMP thing on the light.
A smoke bomb creates a tiny and temporary pocket of safety within a danger zone, and when you knock out enemies in invisible ink, they'll wake back up after a few turns, unless you sacrifice one of your teammates to pin them down. A rather obvious way to restrict something's power is just to limit how many you have. In Chaos Theory, you only get a few sticky cameras per level, and in Thief, you have to pay for water arrows with the money you stole in previous stages. While some games let you throw infinite stones with a touch of the button, Dishonored makes you find physical objects in the world. And in Hitman, you can only stuff 2 enemies in a cupboard before it's full up. You can also give AI the ability to counter your best moves. Enforcers in Hitman are characters who can see through disguises, so private areas keep some of their danger. And in Shadow Tactics Blades of the Shogun, enemies who wear straw hats simply aren't distracted by rocks. I don't know the logic behind that decision, but hey, video games. This can also be handled adaptively, like in Metal Gear Solid 5, where guards will start wearing helmets if you're too handy with the headshot. An even bolder take on this idea is the game Echo, where enemies learn and then copy your tactics, which means if you stick to one powerful technique, you shouldn't be surprised if your opponents start using it against you. There's also an opportunity to provide unique setups for certain levels or areas, which temporarily thwart your favorite plans. In Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, for example, there's a level on a ship where the engine room is filled with gas.
Oh, I remember this level. He's just bringing back childhood memories. Like this level had so many bad guys crammed into every little crevice. It was like so hard to go through the level and take everybody out and everybody in every room. It was like very high tension.
Which means you can't use your weapons or everything will go boom. Then there's the layout of the level and the guard patrol patterns. One guard on their own can be easily dispatched, but 2 guards who are looking at each other will require a much more complex plan to overcome. And finally, there are abstract systems that exist outside of the current situation. So, killing a guard in invisible ink causes the alarm system to ratchet up 1 level, and using lethal takedowns in Dishonored games makes you miss out on certain grades on the end of level score system and can cause changes in the narrative. The idea is to make players more thoughtful about the tactics they use and try to stop the game from veering into a more simplistic experience.
Right. Because if you give the player like 100% autonomy without adapting to the player's playstyle, the player's always going to do whatever is going to take the path of least resistance every time. Like, why do you think there's a meme in Skyrim where like every race has a long lineage of like old, like ancient stealth archers or whatever? Like somebody made a meme or whatever where it's like the description of every race and it's like, oh, this race transcended from a long lineage of stealth archers. Because like whenever I played like Skyrim for the first time, that's essentially what I did. You know, that you max out stealth to like 100, and then you just start using your bow and arrow for the whole game. You get your stealth bonus, and you could even get like more damage if you hit a headshot or whatever. So it's like very small risk versus a big reward. So yeah, I think all these like little mechanics that are like try to pick apart the player or try to make you play a certain way, and at least in stealth games, I think that it is good for like replayability, you know, because like I think in one of the later Splinter Cells, there was like little 3, what was it? There were 3 categories on how you could beat a level. It was like super stealthy was Panther, like super high gunfighty was like, I forgot. It was like something else. It was like the name of the category, but it was like something where you have to like kill everybody in like a high chaos or whatever. And then there was another one, which I forgot what that one was, or maybe it was like maybe no lethal kills or something. One was like don't get seen. The other one was like don't kill anybody, and then the other one was kill actually everybody. And depending on how you play the level, it's like you get like top score on each category or whatever. So it just extends playability, like replayability of the game or whatever. I mean, just like Dishonored, you know, you could do like high chaos or low chaos.
So using weapons should be risky, not effortless. Information should be carefully gathered and imperfect, not handed to you. And strategies should be mixed up, not endlessly repeated. That's it for Lesson 2. Come back next time for more deep dives into sneak 'em up design. For now, let me know your favourite stealth game mechanic in the comments down below. Hey! Thanks for watching. GMTK recently hit 800,000 subscribers here on YouTube, which is just amazing. If you hit the bell icon next to the subscribe button, you'll also get a notification on your phone when I release a new episode. According to my analytics, 10% of you have already done that. So hey, thanks.
Nice. Yeah, this is a great video. Just going over like all the gadgets and whatnot and categorizing them all. Like, every stealth game isn't made exactly the same, and it's fun to play like different stealth games with their take on stealth, which is like really fun to me. But yeah, this is another banger video. Yeah, I can't wait to see the third one, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, later guys, see ya.